Okay, so imagine the new kid who transfers into your school is basically John Wick's son, not a metaphor. His dad runs the #1 killer organization on the planet. Same dead calm, same total lack of fear, same ability to end a grown man in about 4 seconds. Except bro is 17, he's stuck in Korea, and his father froze every account he had, so he's completely broke. So he starts charging. 50,000 won ahead, about 40 bucks, and he will destroy whoever is making your life hell. Bullies, crews, school bosses, does not matter who. And here's the thing, the guys he is flattening for pocket change are the bottom of the food chain. Above them there is a ranked pyramid running every school in the city, and above that sits something called the 12 Nations. Before this is over, bro walks into all of it. So how does one broke high schooler end up taking on the entire structure? It starts on a Monday morning with a kid named Ma Donggu getting stomped in a hallway while the whole school watches and does nothing. Then the rumor lands. Park Sung-yoon, the boss of the second years, went to the cafeteria to steal some stir-fried pork and got completely destroyed by a transfer student who showed up that same day. The news climbs the food chain fast. Ju Yong-cheol, the school's #2, hears it and mutters that pork is unforgivable. And above him sits the top of the pyramid, Park Kang-wook, the boss of all of Sumun High. Kang-wook is exactly the guy you're imagining. He's got a girl named Seol Mina filming him for her channel, he's cussing her out for it, and in the same breath he's telling some poor kid to bring him 300,000 won by tomorrow or the beatings continue. Then Kang-wook does the math on the transfer student. Sung-yoon is his direct junior, and if he lets this slide, the whole hierarchy collapses. So the plan is simple, catch the new kid after school and teach him a lesson. Except the new kid doesn't wait for after school. Kim Doyle just materializes in front of the crew and asks the nearest thug if he's the boss. The guy starts demanding to know who's asking, and he eats a hit before he finishes the sentence. The rest of the crew loses it, screaming at bro to identify himself. Our guy calmly explains he just transferred here today, then asks if they seriously haven't heard about him yet. News must spread slowly in this school. Doyle asks the next guy the same question. Are you the boss? And this man instantly rats, screaming that he's not the boss. The boss is that guy over there. That guy. Kang-wook watches his own soldiers sell him out in real time and can only scream about traitors. So Doyle walks up to Kang-wook himself and asks if he's this school's boss. Kang-wook gets about half an insult out of his mouth. That's as far as he gets. From the floor, Kang-wook whines about getting hit with a cheap shot while he was sitting down. Bro just asks why he was sitting. He should have got up. Ice cold. Then our guy addresses the wreckage like a customer service rep. They would have come looking for him anyway, so they shouldn't resent him too much. And if they do resent him, they're welcome to come find him. Somewhere in the crowd, Mina is filming all of it. Now Donggu, the kid from the hallway beating, comes to Doyle with a request. Deal with every one of these bullies, one by one. And our guy's very first question back is how much Donggu is going to pay him. Donggu short circuits. People usually do this out of a sense of justice, you know, with great power comes great responsibility. Bro genuinely wants to know why that saying even exists. So Donggu goes full anime protagonist, screaming that our guy has the duty to protect the weak. Bro tells him to forget that bullshit, and since there's apparently no money in this, he's leaving. And that's when Donggu drops the act and just begs. Kids like him desperately need help. Even now, his friends are barely getting through the pain every single day. He keeps going right through class, whispering the whole ugly truth. Rat them out to a teacher and you just get beaten worse. The adults' methods don't work on these guys. It's been like wandering in darkness with no light anywhere. And then yesterday, a ray of light appeared. Dongku points at that ray of light and screams that bro has the strength, so please help them. Our guy tells him to fuck off. But then he actually explains himself. He understands what Donggu is saying. He just needs money too, because he's got his own problems. Meanwhile, Donggu's daily reality is a bully chanting the word money at him like a broken slot machine. And here's where our guy's problems get interesting. He asks Donggu if he's ever heard of killers. Because his dad is the head of the world's top killer organization, Blackhead, and bro was born and raised inside it. His dad always made his mom cry, so bro, his mom, and his younger sibling ran to Korea with zero plan. Dad got furious and froze every single account under their names. Total financial lockdown. Our guy wanted to live in the tallest penthouse in Korea. Instead, he's got a job interview at Burger Kim today. Donggu is staring at him trying to figure out if this is a joke, but the man said all of it with a completely straight face. So Doyle names his price, 50,000 won per person. And while Donggu's entire worldview is collapsing, our guy is privately wondering if he should have said 55. Cut to the judo club, where two very large gentlemen are processing the news. Kang-wook lost to a single transfer student, one guy beat 3 people on his own, and their money supply might be about to get cut off. Donggu drags Doyle down behind a desk, panicking that these guys are dangerous, a whole different level from Kang-wook, who is just a figurehead. Bro points out he came here to fight, so does it really matter if he gets caught? Because here's the twist. Kang-wook was never the real boss. The actual rulers of Sumun High are the judo twins, Park Ju-hyung and Park Ju-dong. Athletes who keep their records spotless by hiding behind Kongwook while he squeezes the cash upward to them. Donggu says it plainly. Those two suck the blood of kids like him, so Doyle asks if he should just fight them then. Donggu shrugs out a week, I guess, and our guy says, deal. Somewhere behind them, Mina is filming again and whispering about how good his voice sounds. Speaking of Mina, Ju Yong Cheo catches her smiling at her phone and demands she show it to him. She refuses and tells him to quit smoking like he promised. He calls her a bitch and says he'll only overlook it because she's pretty. Young Kyeol does not get to finish being a creep. The transfer student appears out of absolutely nowhere, and the school's number 2 is suddenly having a much worse day. Young Kyeol scrambles up demanding to know who Doyle even is and why he's swinging unprovoked. The onlookers are more disturbed by something else. Bro is completely calm, like he isn't even fighting, and nobody can tell where he's looking. Bro sells one fake. Young Kyeol bites. It's over. Mina announces she feels dizzy from watching this much handsomeness. Her friend asks if she always gets dizzy when she looks at too much handsomeness. They agree there must be a scientific explanation. So let's count the damage. 2 days in, our guy has flattened the fake boss, folded the number 2, and signed a paid contract on the real ones. The judo twins have no idea their invoice is already printed. So after all that, Sumoon High wakes up to an actual parade. Donggu is marching through the halls with a full banner crew, and our guy is being paraded along like a religious icon who charges by the hour. The banner says it all. Anyone who does bad things, Kim Doyle will find you. Donggu explains the strategy to anyone who asks. The head is down, but underlings are still lurking in every classroom, so they need to show their influence clearly. Our guy's official position on all of this is that they can do whatever they want as long as he gets paid. He will, however, be charging extra for the parade. Then he counts the envelope and stops the whole procession. Why are there only 10 bills? By his count, he took care of 4 people yesterday, the 2 blood-sucking twins and even their henchmen included, and they should all count. Donggu protests that he only requested the twins, only those 2. Doyle is not interested in the fine print. He tells Donggu to cut the bullshit and hand over another 100,000 won because a rich kid like him can afford 200,000 easy. Dong freezes. How did our guy know his family is rich? Did he approach him knowing that from the very start? The classmates nearby confirm that literally everyone in school knows. They just don't help Donggu for the money. Bro also gently reminds him who begged who here. Donggu was the one screaming, please help me, so stop the bullshit and pay quickly. Donggu pays. Meanwhile, the flyer campaign is working a little too well. The whole school is buzzing, and the girls have stopped reading the warning entirely. They're just staring at the face on it, asking each other how one person can possibly be this perfect. Which summons the final boss of the flyer situation. Seoul Mina wants to know which girl dares to look at a picture of someone's husband. There is a visible pink light of madness coming off this woman. Mina goes room to room, confiscating flyers under death threat. One kid swears he doesn't even have his copy, and she calmly informs him that if she finds it, he dies. In her head, this is all perfectly reasonable. They peeked at her husband. Then her phone lights up, and the contact name is a whole story by itself. Jang Hunwoo, pervert bastard. The message tells her to pick up before he beats up every last kid in Sumoon High. And that's today's job. Donggu pulls out the file on the target, Jang Hyunwoo of Cheonggil High, the guy people call the king of southern Seoul. Donggu adds that Hyunwoo answers to an even scarier name, P. Jichol of Ilgyung High, through some group called the 12 Nations. Doyle asks what the 12 Nations is. Donggu says he'll explain when the time comes, which is Manhwa for buckle up. The scouting report is genuinely scary. 3-time amateur boxing champion, physique and instincts way past a normal person, and the judo twins fighting together stood no chance against him. Our guy points out that he beat those twins. Donggu begs him to take this seriously. Because the strength isn't even the scary part, it's the cruelty. Once Hyunwoo sets his eyes on someone, he pushes them to the point where death starts looking like the better option. Donggu's contribution to the plan is that he'll watch from a distance and call the police if things go wrong. Meanwhile, Hyunwoo already has an audience cornered. He's got Mina and what's left of Kangwook's crew, explaining that if she had just picked up his call, her friends wouldn't have gotten hurt. Kangwook immediately clarifies that these are not his friends. One of the beaten kids is genuinely wounded by that. Mina tells Kangwook that being close was back when he was Sumoon High's boss, and he lost that to the transfer student, so don't talk to her. Hunwoo cackles that this is exactly why he can't give up on his princess, then starts begging for a date, just 3 dates. Hyunwoo is out here referring to himself in the third person, promising that Appa will make it fun for her, and he's mid-sentence when his whole body suddenly stops cooperating. Doyle lands out of nowhere, and his only regret is said out loud. What a shame, he could have ended it in one shot. Hunwoo demands to know who he is. Bro introduces himself as the one who's going to beat him up. Mina's having a moment, wondering if he came here to save her. Our guy is having a very different moment, privately noting that everywhere he goes, this girl is always there, and the odds of that being coincidence are getting insulting. Is she observing him? So he warns her to her face. He doesn't know what she's scheming, but if she tries to pull anything on him, he'll kill her. Mina, hearts fully loaded in her eyes, asks him to please kill her. That's when Hyunwoo detonates. This nobody appears out of thin air and now dares to lay hands on her? Here it comes, the trademark. A surprise straight jab thrown at a full sprint, and the speed is genuinely insane. Donggu screams a warning at Doyle. Hyunwoo's charge dies mid-stride because something wet just hit his face. He's clawing at it, panicking that it's some kind of chemical. It is not a chemical. Doyle explains, politely, that people get shocked when you suddenly rush at them, and when he's too shocked, he might just spit at someone without even realizing. The crowd makes a noise that has never been made at this school before. Hyunwoo is spiraling. First the spit, and now where did that chair even come from? Our guy calls another fake. Hyunwoo bites on it and pays for it instantly. Now the king of Southern Seoul is just screaming that he'll kill this crazy fucker. The crowd still insists no transfer student can survive, punches that sharp that it's impossible. Doyle turns and asks the guy why it's impossible. The guy was thinking that. Our man is now answering people's thoughts. Then Hyunwoo's right ribs cave in. Bro checks his work like a doctor with a grudge. Those ribs aren't broken yet. The ones that will break are on the other side, and then he breaks the other side. Hyunwoo is on the ground fighting for air, and Doyle is standing over him trying to remember the anti-bullying speech Donggu made him rehearse. He genuinely cannot remember it. Donggu is screaming that he told him to remember. So our guy improvises his own version. The bully should live quietly from now on, because if he ever ends up standing in front of Doyle again, everything he loves gets dragged out and torn apart, limb from limb. Donggu screams that this is completely different from the script. The next day, the news crosses into enemy territory. Jang Hun-woo lost to Sumoon High, and he even got hospitalized. Over at Ilgyung High, the reaction isn't fear, it's offense. They assume it must have been a gang up, some cowardly little rebellion by the bottom feeders of Sumoon. Someone chuckles that it's been a while since those kids needed a proper beating. And a man named Im Jongbom, one of the most feared names in the entire Ilgyung machine, stands up and suggests they go crush some worms. Donggu's warning about the 12 nations just got a face. That worm-crushing field trip happens immediately. Im Jongbyom walks straight into Sumoon High, lines up every delinquent left standing, and opens the meeting by beating the front row into paying attention. The scary part is the crowd's internal monologue. One of the seniors is quietly panicking that Jongbyom is a whole year younger than him, and still the most terrifying fighter he has ever stood in front of. Jongbyom looks around and notes the room feels a bit empty. A minion explains that Park Sung-yoon and his kids got hospitalized after stealing stir-fried pork from the cafeteria. Jongbyum waves off the small fry and asks where the judo piglets are. The answer is a sentence nobody wants to give a gang executive. Their balls exploded, so they're also in the hospital. Jongbyum offers to help the guy get a proper grip on reality. The minion swears he wishes it were a joke too, while privately wondering why he's the only one getting picked on. Eventually, somebody spills the whole ledger. The stir-fried pork incident, the judo twins, even Jang Hyunwoo from Cheongil High. All of it traces back to one single transfer student. Jongbyum asks exactly one question. Where is that fucker right now? Cut to that fucker's classroom, where Seo Mina has just connected the dots that the whole Hyunwoo mess was our guy saving her. She has decided she loves her own clumsiness, and that his side profile is actively killing her. Bro catches her staring and asks, dead flat, who she's working with, and whether he should kill her quietly in a place where no one will ever find her. Mina hears a romantic cabin getaway for two. This girl is unwell. Then the teacher asks for 2 volunteers for the film club, and every girl in the class detonates at once, because obviously, the handsome transfer student is film club material. The film club turns into open warfare, girls staking claims and screaming at each other to keep their filthy hands away. Somewhere in the chaos, one of them fishes for a compliment about her plain clothes, gets called cute, and takes it as a divine sign. Meanwhile, Doyle is running a background check. He asks Donggu about the weird starer. Donggu identifies Seo Mina, a completely ordinary local girl. Our guy isn't convinced. He's never once seen her in Blackhead, so did his dad send her to watch him? Dong changes the subject and asks what club our boy actually picked. The anime club. Donggu screams, the holy resting place of the otakus? Donggu cannot process a handsome, popular guy voluntarily entering the no-entry zone. And the actual otakus are even angrier, demanding to know how much of their territory the shameless invader plans on taking. And that's when the Ilgyung crew spots him. That's the bastard who busted the judo twins' balls. Donggu begs them to stop saying balls because now it looks like he came here because of balls. A minion describes Doyle to Jongbyum as a crazy psychopath obsessed with stir-fried pork. Our guy from across the room tells him to watch his mouth. He happens to like stir-fried pork too. Then bro just starts walking. The otakus think he's sulking about the club drama. He is not sulking. He is walking directly at the Ilgyung group. Ilgyung reads it as a power move, some shallow attempt to seize the initiative that won't work on them. Jongbyum is actually delighted. He calls Doyle refreshing, declares that men don't need to talk, and swings. Jongbeom's fist hits nothing but air. Nobody in this building dodges Im Jongbeom. The whole hallway is asking the same question. What the hell is with this punk? The film club girls, blissfully unaware, are still assuring each other that the transfer student would never join a lower-class club like the anime club. Then the actual transfer student comes past mid-confrontation, and the whole room short-circuits. Jongbeom demands to know who this guy even is. Doyle fires his own question right back. Why do these people keep bothering him? And then, in the middle of the fight, our guy simply stops engaging and turns to Mina, who is taking a frankly unreasonable number of photos. He asks her straight out if his dad sent her. Mina nearly faints because he's already talking about family. Jongbeom cannot believe his fist is being ignored in the middle of his own beatdown. Our boy, still not looking at him, tells Mina to pass a message along. He's never coming back. Mina wonders if that means because of her. Jongbeom finally snaps, screaming Kim Doyle's name, calling him a worm that should just get stepped on and die. Bro asks why the noisy punk didn't run away when he had the chance, because even if he prays now, it's irreversible. Before anyone finds out what irreversible means, the student head storms in, roaring about brats from other schools flocking onto his campus. Jongbeom quietly curses boomers for always showing up at the most important moments. So Jongbeom saves face. It's not over, see you again after school. And he turns to leave like a man who controls the schedule. Bro elbows him in the back of the head on his way out. Ha! The crowd loses its collective mind. What kind of protagonist aims for the back of the head? Now Iljung blood has been drawn, there's no turning back, the transfer student is as good as dead. Someone points out he skipped the mid-level boss entirely and went straight for the top. Somewhere across town, a man stands over a runaway who owes him, quietly reminding him about the food and the roof he was given, and about what he promised to do to his eyes if he ever caught him. Then his phone rings. He stares at it, annoyed that anyone would dare call at such an important time, and picks up anyway. And the call wipes the cruelty right off his face. What happened to Jongbeom at Samoon High? This is Im Jong-chan, Iljung's number 2, and now he's the one coming. After all that, Dong is in full crisis mode because Doyle didn't just win a fight. He messed with the 12 nations, and specifically with Ilgyung, the crew famous for taking revenge every single time their blood gets spilled. Our guy, for the record, is hearing this lecture while scrubbing the second-floor bathrooms, because the student had handed him a week of cleaning duty for the hallway brawl. His review of the 12 most notorious delinquents in the country is that they're still just a bunch of punks. Donggu insists the real Ilgyung is nothing like their associates, that this was never part of the plan. Bro counters that you can't even call them ruthless if they've never cut off an arm or a leg. Donggu, horrified, asks if Doyle has done something like that before. No answer. Also, our guy notes, they started the argument first. And then the bomb drops. Our boy says this bully hunting work has gotten really annoying, so he's done. Don't come looking for him again. Part-time work pays better anyway. Donggu scrambles, yelling that he pays more than any part-time job, that there's even severance pay. Bro tells him to get lost. And just like that, the one guy keeping the wolves away is off the payroll. The wolves notice fast. A pack of leftover bullies catches Donggu alone and demands he greet his seniors properly. They run the classic routine on him. The fake apology, the would you look at his eyes, the wanna die, and Donggu just quietly goes somewhere else in his head. Because for a couple of days he actually felt safe. His friends did too. They talked about skipping lunch to go to the store, buying snacks for themselves instead of for someone else, eating their own food for once, wearing his own gym clothes, sitting in his own chair without feeling any pressure, and above all, not getting hit. Donggu figures it's time to go back to how it was. The lead bully takes one look at his face and laughs, so he really is that rumored fucker's friend. They demand to know where our guy is right now, because just thinking about him makes them mad. Donggu genuinely doesn't know, so they shove a phone at him and tell him to just call and ask, dumbass. Dong dials the police instead. They catch it instantly, and the beating gets worse. One of them asks if reporting has ever once helped him before, and Donggu already knows the answer. Meanwhile, across town, the greatest job interview in history is happening. Burger King. 0 part-time experience. The manager asks Doyle what his specialty is, and our guy answers close combat. His hobby is gun repair. He also mentions he can throw daggers. The manager mishears it as throwing award certificates, asks why anyone would throw those, and privately concludes that this completely normal-looking kid is not in his right mind. The verdict comes gently. This is a restaurant, and the restaurant does not require dagger throwing, so Bro isn't suitable to walk this path, but he's welcome to come have a hamburger later. Our guy just failed his first job interview on pure vibes. And right on cue, the reason the manager looks so tired walks in. A crew of thugs starts howling that a burger gave them a stomachache, waving a photo of a cockroach in the lettuce. The staff points out that it's an olive. Doesn't matter. The manager folds like he's done this 100 times, telling his employee to take $300,000 one out of the register while the thugs howl about violence and touching a minor. This is just the neighborhood tax, and everyone pays it. Back at Samoon, the bullies working Donggu over reach a conclusion. This kid doesn't even have Bro's phone number, so they were never really friends. And the Il-jung lookout posted at the main gate is losing his mind about where the slippery bastard escaped to, because Il-jung proper is now mobilizing. Im Jong-chan has the collection team trained and the protection deposits raised to 500,000 won, and another executive, Choi Hyo-chang, is hauling in food to feed the troops. This is a business preparing for war. The executives decide to swing by one of their collection sites first, and the site is trashed. Somebody already hit it. They blame some crew from Seok-dong, right up until a lookout points at a kid in a Sumun High uniform who just strolled past them. Catch that punk. That punk is deep in personal finance. He's nearly burned through this month's living expenses. A part-time salary wouldn't land until next month, and what he really needs is someone who can pay him right away. And someone is waiting for him. Dong-gu, face freshly wrecked, tracked down the interview spot just in case. Doyle takes one look at him and asks if he got hit again. That's when Choi Hyo-chang from Il-jung announces himself and orders Doyle to come here for a bit. He gets ignored so completely that he has to ask whether the scrawny bastard is deaf. Bro isn't listening because he's still looking at Dong-gu's face. And then the MC asks the only question that matters. Is the 50,000 won still on the table? Dong-gu tells him there's severance pay too. Hyo-chang starts swinging mid-lecture about scrawny kids who only listen after a good beating. The beating happens to him instead. The rest of the collection team piles in after their boss and gets folded one after another, somebody begging him to stop halfway through a word. Doyle exhales over a small pile of Il-jung's finest. Then he asks Dong-gu if there's a performance bonus. Our guy is officially back on the clock, and Il-jung's real monsters still haven't shown up in person. That bill comes next. So after folding Choi Ho-chang and asking about severance pay like it's a normal Tuesday, Bro has decided his next move is walking into the worst school in Seoul and asking for its boss by name. But before any of that, our guy has dinner plans. Dinner is Doyle mixing 2 instant noodle packs into one bowl and calling it Ganpaghetti, a legendary masterpiece of spicy gan champong and japaghetti. He lectures Donga that no restaurant on earth can compete with this cost-to-taste ratio. The heir to the deadliest organization alive is doing budget noodle reviews. Our guy suggests the noodles would taste even better with stir-fried pork on top. Dong-gu shuts that down instantly because pork costs money and Dong-gu is the one paying. Remember the stir-fried pork? I'm serious, it comes back. Then, Bro brings up business. He reminds Dong-gu about the performance bonus he was promised, and when Dong-gu nervously asks how much bonus he's supposed to be giving, the MC thinks it over like a reasonable man and lands on 5 million won. And in return for that 5 million, Doyle promises that within 1 week he will annihilate Il-gyung High, the whole school, one man, flat rate. Dong-gu laughs so hard he nearly dies, then asks why Bro is this desperate for cash anyway. Our guy repeats the truth like he always does, that his father froze every account he has. And Dong-gu still isn't buying the whole blackhead assassin family story because the Korean banking system is not that sloppy. Then Bro flips the question on him. He looked into Dong-gu's family, and they're rich, like seriously rich. So why does a kid with everything keep getting beaten up and grinning about it when he could just transfer to some private school with 0 bullies in it? Dong-gu just says his parents are both out of the country right now, and leaves it there. So our boy gives him one piece of advice instead. Stop grinning like an idiot after getting hit, because that's exactly why people look down on you. Hold on to that line too. It matters later. Dong-gu thanks him for the meal and waves goodbye, telling our guy to be careful on the way back. And on that walk home, a girl from school called Seo Mina pops out of nowhere squealing about a fated encounter. Bro's entire response is one long sigh. Meanwhile, the guys Doyle flattened are awake, and their first move is demanding someone call Sumun Hai's Park Kangwook right now. Cut to Kangwook somewhere across town, screaming at his phone, asking the universe why these people keep calling him about a mess he knows nothing about. Now, about the school our boy just put on his invoice. Il-gyung High is one of the 3 worst delinquent schools in all of Seoul, and it runs the entire southwest of the city. Some kids enroll there because money's tight. Most of the student body has juvenile criminal records, or they're the kind of nut jobs no normal school will even accept. The place has an official smoking area built just for students, and the teachers take bribes to look the other way. There's even a rumor the principal used to be a gangster. But the biggest problem at Il-gyung isn't the building or the staff, it's the leader, a man named P. Jikol. Il-gyung used to be split into warring factions, and P. Jikol united all of them through pure strength. Now he runs bike thefts, insurance fraud, extortion rackets on restaurants, and things way uglier than that. The man will do absolutely anything if it makes money. And he's so ruthless, there's a standing rumor he's already killed someone. That is the front gate Doyle and a masked, hyperventilating Dong-gu are voluntarily walking through right now, while Dong-gu screams the entire resume at him as a warning. Gear check at the gate. Dong wants to know where our guy keeps getting these terrible masks from. Bro wants to know why Dong-gu is complaining, when Dong-gu should be asking about the gun in his hand. It's loaded with rubber bullets, because in the MC's words, the human body is a resource you should preserve. Dong-gu makes one last plea, that people report Il-gyung so often the police just laugh it off now. Doyle says that's even better and refuses to explain what that means. The 5 million won bonus gets restated one more time like a contract clause, and in they go. First contact. Doyle walks up to the first random delinquent he sees and asks if he's Pai Ji-chol. Dong-gu screams that it's obviously not him. The goons clock the Sumun High uniform, call him a shithead who's lost his mind, and ask how he dares say that name so casually. They don't get to finish being offended. Our guy drops them mid-sentence, and the last thing anyone manages to yell is asking who this crazy bastard even is. Cut deeper into the school, where an executive named Im Jongbyom is nursing a headache and counting money, because today is collection day. Class 2-1 alone owes 300,000 won in tribute. Yeah, the classes pay this school like it's a landlord. Jongbyom keeps hearing this annoying bang-bang from somewhere, and then a minion crashes in shrieking that they've got trouble. The bastard from Sumun High is here, a spy, with a gun. Jongbyom can't get one coherent sentence out of anybody, and he is losing his mind about it. Meanwhile, Doyle's investigation method has not improved. He bursts in on a screaming girl and asks if she's Pai Ji-chol. Dong-gu howls that Pai Ji-chol is a guy, damn it, and the girl points out he really should have said that earlier. The whole school is now convinced this intruder is clinically insane. Somebody finally asks Bro if his balls are really big enough to walk into a tiger's den. Right on cue, our boy announces he's out of bullets, and every delinquent in the room smells blood. Then he reaches for something, and the room collectively flinches, wondering what trick is coming this time. Our guy says exactly one word: fake, and he lets a hallway full of tough guys work out for themselves, which part of the last 5 minutes was the bluff. Around the same time in the annex building, the teachers are watching this unfold. The new teacher, Haha Youngju, wants to call the police immediately. The senior staff explain how Il-young works. The police take ages to come here, and the principal's standing order is to never meddle in student affairs. But even the veterans admit this one is different. Nothing like this has happened since the Pai Ji-chol incident, whatever nightmare that was, and someone notices the CCTVs are all dead. Then they realize the phone signals are jammed too, and the staff room fully melts down asking what is happening at Il-jung right now. Nobody in that building knows the answer as one broke teenager raised by the world's deadliest organization, currently working at 50,000 won a bully. Cutting cameras and jamming signals is just the family trade. One floor of this school hasn't noticed any of it because it's the gym, and the man inside is busy benching 200 kilos like it's a stretch. He's mid-protein shake when a minion runs in with an order. All executives report to school in 20 minutes. A spy has infiltrated Il-young. That man is Park Jinju, ranked number 3 in this entire school of criminals. And as he sets the shake down and starts walking, our guy downstairs is about to find out what the Il-young weight room produces. So, the bang-bang noise Im Jongbyum kept complaining about has walked into his room, and it's Doyle, still asking everyone in this school the same question about Pai Ji-chol. Before Jongbyum swings, the story wants you to know exactly who this executive thinks he is. Jongbyum has been the prodigy his whole life. Back in school, he took down the entire crew of older kids alone, and everyone around him called his fists a God-given talent. He's the rare guy who is always special, and he knows it. There's a flashback where a kid named Park Yuchin politely introduces himself like an equal, and Jongbyum's response is to ask who said this fucker was in his league, then make him open his mouth for what comes next. Yeah, that kind of prodigy. Because in Jongbyum's head, his life was destined to reign over everyone from above, the power to control everything, and whenever someone inferior tries to stand level with him, all he feels is rage. Which brings us to right now, where the prodigy's fist cannot touch Doyle, not blocked, not dodged at the last second. It literally does not reach, and while Jongbyum short-circuits over it, Bro calmly points out there's a huge difference in their reach. He's explaining the fight to his opponent mid-fight. Then our guy plants a full-speed soccer kick into him like he's clearing a ball off the line. Jongbyum hits the floor screaming that this nobody just tried to kill him, and Bro corrects the record. He wasn't trying to kill him, he was trying to cripple him. The MC reminds him he already gave a warning, that no amount of begging would save him, and he was screwed from that moment. Then he picks a target the way you pick off a menu. Let's go with a leg. Jongbyum won't be walking for a while. Jongbyum's pride kicks in before the pain does. He's shrieking about whether this loser knows who he is, telling our guy to stay in his league, demanding to know if he understands where he's standing right now. Bro answers with one flat and puts him down. Then, standing over the school's screaming prodigy, our guy asks him to go ahead and explain where exactly this is, because to him, it just looks like a normal high school. Another Il-young heavy storms in and screams at the frozen bystanders, asking why they're just standing there instead of getting that bastard. Then he actually looks at the pile of bodies on the floor, and his whole sentence dies down into a quiet little, ah. Now cut across town to Sumun High, Doyle's own school, because Il-young students have barged in there looking for answers. The Sumun kids are whispering that the scary one is called Im Jongchan, and Jongchan is raging at his phone, because nobody at Il-young is picking up. We know why nobody's picking up. The dean of students, Wang Duko, plants himself in front of the intruders and demands to know why ill-young brats keep barging into other people's schools. Zhang doesn't even slow down, he just keeps walking, and the dean realizes he's being ignored. The dean raises his voice and orders them over like students. Zhang calls him a fucking old fart, warns him to be careful who he plays teacher with, and beats the man down in front of the kids he was protecting. The dean ends up on the ground, and Zhang stands over him calling him a loser with a death wish. Then, mid-beating, he checks with his crew whether Il-young is still not answering the phone, like this is all just an errand running long. What happens next is worse than the beating. A knife comes out, the teacher gets stabbed, and Zhang presses the blame onto one of his own minions, telling him he's the one who stabbed that teacher. No jokes here. This is who I am Zhang is. Then Zhang hands out orders like homework. Gather everyone's phones and search them, and the minion holding the knife is told to walk into the southern police station, find team leader Park Chung-sik, and confess. It'll only be 2.5 years, he says. The kid just says yes. Back at Il-young, the tone could not be more different. Doyle is advising the crippled Jongbyum to take his physical rehab seriously unless he wants the wheelchair to be permanent. Someone in the wreckage starts giggling, so our boy asks if the laughing is a fetish and offers to twist an ankle too. The survivors try the classic threat. Do you have any idea what kind of man our boss is? Bro asks if their boss is PG Cole. They promise him he will definitely, absolutely die, and our guy calls it a load of bullshit and asks the only question he came with. Where is PG Cole? And that's when the gym arrives. The man who benches 200 kilos comes in furious that somebody interrupted his back session, and the story stamps his card. Park Jinju, rank 3 of all of Il-young. He swings on our guy before the introductions even finish. From under his mask, Donggu nearly has a heart attack, yelling that the hit caught our guy's head and that even for someone like Bro, that has to be bad. Then he sees the MC blocked it clean and switches straight from panic to a delighted little teehee. Doyle looks up at this mountain of protein and asks his one question, "Are you P.I. Jiol?" And Jinju, a genuine meathead, says that's right. The entire room screams in unison that he's obviously not him. Our guy does not care. Bro has a name match. And somewhere else entirely, the story flashes one more card. Rank 4, a man named Kang Deok-chun, hearing about all this and asking one question. What was that guy's name again? Doyle. The name is starting to travel, and rank 3 hasn't even been settled yet. So the board looks like this. The broke heir of Blackhead versus the strongest body in Il-young, with 5 million won on the invoice, and things are about to get creative. So Doyle versus Park Jinju is underway, and the fight is going exactly as stupid as you'd hope. Jinju is clawing at his own eyes, screaming, asking what our guy is even spraying at him. The answer is a window washing set. The bystanders can't process what they're witnessing, because Jinju is a man who moves 800 kilos across the big 3 lifts, and he's being dominated by a scrawny guy armed with cleaning products. Jinju calls the fighting dirty, which is accurate, and calls Doyle a mosquito buzzing around dodging everything, which is also accurate. But the big man has done the math. A mosquito is still a mosquito. He only needs to land one single hit. He never gets it. Jinju charges promising to squash the mosquito. The MC says one calm word, fire, and sends the next spray straight up the man's nose. From the sidelines, Donggu wonders out loud that if there is a god of cheap tricks, it might genuinely be this guy. Jinju's last stand is pure gym rat heartbreak. He roars that he cannot forgive this, asks Bro if he has any idea how much protein he's drunk to get here, and swears he won't fall for another cheap trick because he's being looked down on way too much. Then he falls for another cheap trick. Jinju goes down cursing the no-muscle pretty boy who beat him, and that's the lesson of this whole fight. 800 kilos of lifting means nothing against a man who simply refuses to be standing where the punch lands. The surviving Il-young guys are having a crisis. Il-young cleared, my ass, someone mutters. Jinju got taken apart without doing anything, and that hasn't happened since the boss himself. Nobody can answer the only question that matters, which is who in the world this intruder is. Doyle, meanwhile, has moved on to the important part. He turns to Donggu and demands his 5 million, and he wants it in cash, no account transfers. Remember, this is the son of the world's deadliest organization, and his father froze every account he owns. The man is strictly a cash business now. There's just one problem with the invoice. Everyone is screaming that the guy he beat is not PG Shoal. Our boy argues the man literally said he was, so why is everyone denying it, and tells Donggu to stop bullshitting and hand the money over. Donggu is not paying for the wrong scalp. The next day is Saturday, and we're in the Sumun High Anime Club where the news finally catches up. The dean, Wang Ducheol, is in the hospital. Il-young's Im Jong-chan came out of nowhere, flipped the whole school upside down, and he was asking about one thing. He's looking for our guy. The club tries to make sense of it. Someone figures it should be over, since our guy already took down PG Shoal, and it's usually over once the boss falls. Donggu repeats for the 100th time that the guy was not PG Shoal. Bro contributes nothing because he's busy eating. And what he's eating is a school lunch on a weekend in the classroom. When someone asks how, he explains he took it from the staff cafeteria, the one reserved for teachers on weekend duty, and asks why anyone is bitching about it. The audacity is genuinely impressive. Then the guilt lands. Donggu admits this whole thing is probably their fault for making a mess at Il-young, and the club Otaku, hearing about the raid for the first time, short-circuits into full Japanese disbelief. The plan becomes a hospital visit for the dean. Doyle's answer is one word: nope. While they're begging him to come, the club door opens, and in walks Seal Mina, claiming she got a sudden urge to watch anime in this loser gathering, in that outfit. The club spirals into screaming about whether a fated encounter like this can be real. Our guy says sure, he'll let them meet fate, and pulls out the Glock. And instead of anyone running for their lives, the entire anime club recognizes the motto on sight and starts begging to hold it. So Doyle sets a price, 2,001 per touch, and a line forms, an actual queue in a classroom to pay a transfer student for one touch of a handgun, and Seal Mina gets in the line too. Donggu is screaming at the sky asking what is even going on in this story, and honestly, same. Then the story goes quiet because we're at the hospital. The doctors say the dean's wound isn't deep, it isn't fatal, and the principal has told him to rest for a while. Wang Ducol refuses. The kids have midterms coming up, he says. This is nothing. Tell them I'll be back next week. His wife has been married to this man for 20 years, and she sees right through him. She tells him he's not fine, and that holding it in will only make it worse. The club arrives for the visit, and immediately loses their transfer student. Bro has vanished from a third-floor hospital room, which means the window, which means everyone is screaming at him again. His stated reason for leaving is that he doesn't like this teacher, because this teacher makes him clean. But the dean keeps asking where the transfer student went, because to him the visit is pointless without the kid. And when the MC finally gets dragged back in, complaining that they're so annoying for making him return after he came all this way, the dean is ready for him. From his hospital bed, stab wound and all, Wang Jikol sentences our guy to 2 weeks of cleaning the second-floor boys' bathroom. Then, as Bro stands there dazed, the old man's voice changes. He heard our boy lives with his mom and his sister. That makes him the man of the house, the dean says. Even if he doesn't study, the least he can do is not cause trouble. Then he holds out a slip of paper. It's his phone number, and the kid is to call it whenever he needs an adult, no matter what time it is. He tells our guy to buck up, that everyone's full of energy at that age, but that a man shouldn't do things he'd be embarrassed about, because face is everything for a guy. And the club kids finally crack, blurting out that the whole attack happened because of them. The kids drop off their drinks and file out, and the moment the room empties, the dean falls apart in private. As a teacher, no. As the man in charge of those students, he couldn't protect them, and then he got humiliated in front of them. The beating replays in his head, Jung Chan standing over him calling him a loser, asking to die. He's old enough to be their father, he thinks. He doesn't have the face to see them. He calls himself a failure, and the story just lets that sit. Then one last cut to a dark room we haven't seen before. A man is on his knees, explaining that one guy turned the entire school into a wreck, calling his own failure a crime worthy of death, and begging his boss for a chance to capture the intruder himself. The boss says no. The order is wrong. If this man actually meant to make up for his failure, Doyle would already be kneeling here in front of him. This is the real P. Jikol, the man our guy has been demanding from every wrong person in that school, and he never even had to raise his voice. Then he hands down the price of failure like he's reading a receipt. 10 million won, delivered within a week, and the man will be leaving his left earlobe behind. That's it. That's the whole negotiation. And then, almost as an afterthought, the boss confirms the intruder's name, Doyle. He gives his people 3 days. Bring him here. So now the real PG Shoal is finally paying attention, and the clock on our guy's head just started ticking. So with the 3-day clock ticking on Bro's head, this chapter belongs to Donggu. And by the end of it, someone is going to make our guy genuinely angry over the cheapest thing imaginable. It starts with a conversation. Donggu reminds Doyle that he once told him not to laugh when getting hit, and that everyone thinks he's an idiot because of it. Bro doesn't even remember saying it. Donggu does, down to the exact spot by the convenience store. Then, Donggu explains something. The MC, a guy who's never lost a fight, probably can't understand. He wasn't called an idiot to begin with. And being stupid was never the reason he got beat up. We see the pieces of how it actually went. Bullies telling him that snitching to a teacher does nothing. Bullies clapping and giving him mock props when he threw in an extra 30,000 won on top of the usual shakedown. Being agreeable was just survival pricing. He got hit so many times, he says, that somewhere along the way he somehow ended up becoming an idiot. And where is Donggu delivering the most serious speech of his life? A gaming cafe, shouting over gunfire, because Doyle is headshotting his way through a shooter with Seo Mina next to him screaming for more blood every time someone's forehead explodes on screen. Donggu begs them to at least listen when someone's speaking seriously. Mina tells him to read the room and get lost, they're on a date. Bro tells Mina she can get lost too. And when Donggu pleads that our boy has the power to help, our guy declines without taking his eyes off the screen. So Donggu gives up. What's the point of talking to Bro, he says, when the answer is just going to be another price quote. He walks out alone, Hold on to that choice, because everything that happens next hangs off it. Our guy's parting concern, by the way, is the stir-fried pork lunchbox, which he insists is his. Dong-gu snaps that it's his own, he paid for it. That is the entire goodbye between these two. Meanwhile, Im Jong-chan's crew is running its manhunt, and the trail is thin. Nobody knows Doyle's address. But somebody does know that the guy who's stuck to bro like glue has an apartment around here. Their unwilling guide is Park Kang-wook of Sumun High, a man the story literally captions as doomed to suffer forever. They demand a building and a unit number. Kang-wook doesn't have one. He keeps calling numbers nobody answers, wailing about why he's always the one dragged into messes he had nothing to do with. The crew's patience runs out, so they beat Kang-wook for his phone etiquette and tell him to start calling the bastards friends instead. Kang-wook screams the only honest question in this whole scene, which is what he even did wrong. Passers-by get barked at to keep walking. Then it stops being funny. They give Kang-wook exactly 1 hour to come back with bro, or he's the one who dies in his place. An old lady watching gets shooed off, and Kang-wook is screaming for literally anyone to call the cops. And that's when Kang-wook spots his salvation walking down the street. He points and unloads every word he knows. It's Ma Dong-gu, Doyle's underling, servant, lackey, minion, flunky, slave. The man burned his whole thesaurus to hand Dong-gu over. Cut to the hideout, and the register drops all the way down. Dong-gu has been beaten half unconscious. A goon reports that the bastard won't cooperate at all, and that if they keep hitting him, he's just going to pass out. Jong-chan sighs about weaklings always making things difficult. Jong-chan crouches down and makes his pitch. Doesn't Dong-gu know who they are? Hasn't he heard the rumors? He took care of a teacher, he says, like it's a credential. All Dong-gu has to do is lure Doyle here, and it's all over. Look at the situation. What could he even try to do? And then he goes somewhere personal. He clicks his tongue, asks who Dong-gu takes after to be this useless, and answers it himself. He acts just like his mother. There's nothing you can do, idiot, Jong-chan says. Just lure him to the hideout, and they'll let him go, within reason. And Dong-gu, through a ruined face, says something quietly. He says he's not an idiot. Then he says the rest of it. They're the real idiots. The room genuinely cannot compute this, and the goons start asking each other if the kid lost his mind from getting beaten too much. Jong-chan's charm evaporates. He tells Dong-gu he's deluding himself, that they're not friends just because he talked a little, and that a pathetic piece of shit gets on his knees when he's told to. And what's playing in Dong-gu's head right now is our guy's dumb advice from the ramen night. Stop laughing like an idiot after getting beaten. That's why people think you're stupid. So this time, for the first time in his life, Dong-gu doesn't laugh. They order him to bow his head and lower his eyes. He doesn't. They beat him for it, and the goons are actually rattled now, yelling at Ma Dong-gu, asking why he's suddenly rebelling and making everything worse for himself. Jong-chan decides the whole thing is getting messy and issues his order. When the bastard wakes up, tear his mouth open if that's what it takes, but he brings Doyle. And Dong-gu, barely conscious on the floor, spells out one slow, deliberate curse at all of them. Then Dong-gu says the thing he's clearly been swallowing his entire life. They're the ones at fault, so why is he the one who gets called an idiot? They're the weird ones. They're the problem. If people like them didn't exist, there wouldn't be any problems at all. They're the ones who are messed up. And the goons don't laugh at him. They beg him to shut up. They plead with Ma Dong-gu to please just stop talking, because a bleeding kid calmly telling the truth is landing somewhere none of them can name. Jong-chan tries to sneer his way out of it. The kid is beaten to a pulp, bleeding all over the floor, and still running his mouth. He diagnoses it as edgy teenager syndrome and accuses Dong-gu of being obsessed with himself. Then the sneer turns into a promise. Jong-chan says he'll gouge out one of Ma Dong's eyes, and they'll see if he can still bark after that. He never finishes the thought because a goon just drops, and Bro is standing in the room. The son of the deadliest organization on the planet has arrived, and he's muttering at his gun, complaining that he asked his uncle Jung Myung for rubber bullets, and this is clearly not that. The crew recognizes him in the worst way possible, stammering that it's that bastard Burger Kim from back then, Kim Doyle, and Bro opens with an accusation, telling Dong-gu he swapped phones on purpose because the screen on this one is completely shattered. That's how the calls never reached him. Then, our guy actually looks at his friend's face, and the jokes stop. He asks the room who did this. He turns to Jong-chan and asks if it was him. Dong-gu manages a weak crack about whether our guy can't see he's hurt, and Jong-chan just starts giggling. Jong-chan is delighted, cackling that it's nice to finally meet him, starting to say the name Kim Do, and our boy finishes it for him. Yule. Cold as a receipt. And then our guy delivers his verdict on all of it. He cannot forgive them, he says. For the stir-fried pork, his best friend is bleeding on the floor, and the reason he says out loud is a lunchbox. Jong-chan has no idea what's about to happen to him, and honestly, I can't wait. So Doyle just promised these kidnappers a beating over stir-fried pork, and before the first punch lands, the story stops to explain exactly who Im Jong-chan is, because the guy standing across from our man is not some schoolyard tough. Quick context on the resume. A runaway gang called Hot-Blooded Men used to own the Silumdong neighborhood, and they stayed untouchable by using girls their own age to lobby the local police. Even the cops just looked the other way. Then came their leader's birthday party at a karaoke bar. All 21 members in one room, drinks out, music on, the whole crew celebrating like kings of the block. Every single one of those 21 left that room with severe injuries, barely surviving. The person who did it was a 13-year-old boy who walked in alone. That boy was Im Jong-chan. After that night, all of Southern Seoul started calling Im Jong-chan the demon. And right now that same demon is getting beaten so one-sidedly that he is genuinely asking Doyle if he got drugged. Jong-chan swings, and the answer comes from below. Bro slips under his guard and cracks him from an angle Jong-chan did not even know existed. And here is what is breaking Jong-chan's brain. He sees every punch coming, clearly. His eyes track them the whole way, and his body still cannot dodge a single one, so he decides our guy must have done something to him. Doyle gives him the honest diagnosis. It is not his fault that Jong-chan is weak. The reason Jong-chan cannot accept what is happening is that he simply has not been beaten enough, and our guy politely offers to fix that. Jong-chan goes all in. He announces the left hook, screams at our guy to just take the hit, and swings at empty air. The demon is calling his shots like a boxing coach, and the target keeps not being there. His own brain spells out the problem. He knows exactly where our guy is aiming, and the punches are just too fast for his body to react. Knowing the answer does not help when the test is speed. Then Doyle stops and compliments him, genuinely. He tells Jong-chan he is not an average guy, and that he can really take a beating. And then he explains why that is great news. It means our boy can keep hitting him. Jong-chan, mid-concussion, finally puts it together and screams that this lunatic is doing all of this over some stir-fried pork. Yes, yes he is. Remember who is throwing these punches? The son of the man who runs the world's deadliest killer organization, allowance frozen, charging 50,000 won per bully, and tonight he is working for free because somebody disrespected his pork. Doyle asks Jong-chan what he should break first and promises to consider his wishes. This is him being courteous. Jong-chan does not submit a preference. So Bro chooses for him and picks the jawbone. Jong-chan hears it, knows the punch is coming, and understands with total clarity that he can neither block it nor dodge it. And in that frozen second, the demon of Southern Seoul finally understands the alien feeling he got the first time he saw this transfer student. This is not a strong high schooler. This is something from a different food chain entirely. The punch lands and takes his whole jawbone with it, exactly as advertised. And that is the full karma loop. The guy who beat Donggu half to death and threatened to gouge out his eye is now on the floor with a shattered jaw, folded by the friend he tried to use as bait, all over one plate of pork. Cut across town to a restaurant where a man is having a very calm dinner conversation with a gang boss. He explains that the Tiger Crew's Nampo side made him a profitable proposal, but when he came in person, the offer was different from the phone call. So he cut their Achilles tendons. He mentions this the way you would mention sending back a wrong order. Then he turns to the boss across the table, notes that the man has already stuffed himself enough, and gives him exactly 2 days to sort out the Busan situation and join their side. The boss chokes out something that counts as a yes, and the man wishes him a wonderful meal on his way out. This is Kang Huko, the operations chief of Ilgyung High. And that is the school our guy is now tangled with. Ilgyung is not a bully clique. It is a business running hostile takeovers of actual street gangs, one crippled negotiator at a time. Back at the scene, Jong-chan's phone will not stop ringing. Somebody up the chain really wants a status update on the Doyle trap, and the trap is currently unconscious. So our guy follows the trail upward himself. He walks out to meet whoever set this whole thing up, finds a man waiting, and asks him flat out if he is P. Isheo. No fear, no plan, no backup. Just a broke teenager with an invoice pad staring down an organization that cripples grown gangsters for fun. And Bro tells the man he heard they were looking for him. Well, they found him. The waiting man is not P. Jishol. He is Kang Hyukeo, the tendon-cutting operations chief from the restaurant, and the small talk lasts 0 seconds. They collide, and Doyle comes out of it dusting himself off, asking with real curiosity if that was a judo throw. While that fight starts, the adults are already burying everything. A police officer asks the principal if it is really fine to let an incident like this go, an outside student walking in and lynching people, something the media should probably hear about. The answer is ugly and instant. Ilgyung kids are orphans and single-parent kids nobody will fight for, so who cares about a school like that? Leave it alone. And under his breath, one of them admits the real reason. Something very dirty has gotten involved in this. Back in the fight, Hugo is running the numbers and hating them. He saw Doyle's attack coming the whole way and still could not avoid it. The only thing that saved him was pure instinct from years on the mat. So he switches to the plan that has never failed him. He cannot win trading punches, but judo does not need punches. One clean grip and the odds flip because the strongest man alive is nothing in front of concrete. That is the whole strategy. Grab the kid once and introduce his head to the floor in pieces. He gets his grip. for about half a second. He is mid-sentence celebrating the catch when Doyle slides out of his hands like wet soap, and Hucole is left holding air, screaming about this slippery bastard. Then comes the weirdest timeout in the fight. Hucheol starts asking about the wound on his nose, whether it will leave a scar, whether he will see it in the mirror every single day, mid-fight, to the person who put it there. Bro asks why he keeps asking such obvious questions, tells him he is annoying, and announces that he thinks he will just throw him away. And Hucole snaps. He howls that it is unfair, that he is always the only one who gets hurt, that no matter how hard he tries to erase them, the wounds always leave scars, and he charges in swinging. Doyle plants a hand on his philtrum, that little spot right under the nose, and pushes. Kang Hucole, a grown judo professional, exits the building through a window. A bystander outside watches a body fly past and just asks who the hell this guy is. Hucheol peels himself off the ground, and instead of staying down, he starts hyping himself back up. Trying to kill him, do not make him laugh. He is Kang Hucheol. He is not ordinary. And we see why he believes it. A memory of PG Shou offering his hand, telling him that talent alone never makes a man top tier, that the world is unreasonable, and that if Hucheol takes his hand, he will make him a special person. So this is what is actually fighting our guy right now. A talented man who got told he was chosen, screaming that he is special, and that nobody gets to look down on him. He builds one last real plan, hammer the face, sell a fake, and the instant Bro's guard drifts, grab him, and end it. He runs it perfectly. The grip lands clean, he declares the MC done, and he cranks the back throw that has folded every opponent he has ever used it on, and our guy does not fall. Hucheol feels it through his hands and cannot believe it. Doyle shifted his weight mid-throw and dispersed the force straight into the floor, a trick only career professionals are supposed to know, and then the kid's grip tightens back. Bro back throws him instead, his own signature move, reversed on him by a high schooler with strength that should not exist at that size. The technique Hucheol built his whole life on just got deleted in one exchange. On the ground, the operations chief does the honest math. Wrong style matchup, wrong weight class, and the kid still defies logic. He has never seen anything like this in his life. And then Donggu, bruises and all, says the quiet thing out loud. He tells Doyle he cannot describe how safe it feels having him around, and that it is fine if none of this is about friendship or justice. Because he will pay. As much money as our boy wants. And our guy, son of the world's scariest killer organization with every account frozen, perks up faster than he has moved in either fight. That is the one word that works on him. Then Donggu asks the bigger question, whether our guy could think of them as friends, and the question just hangs there. Before anyone can answer, the police finally show up, shouting at the high school student to put his hands up and come over slowly. They do not get to finish the arrest. Something moves. The officers drop, and the last thing one of them gets out is asking who the new arrival even is. Then, a small, satisfied sigh. PG Shou walks in over the unconscious cops like they are furniture, wondering out loud how exciting this is, how convenient violence is, and why anyone would ever tell him to stop doing something so fun. Then he looks at Bro, asks if he is healthy, and says he cannot figure out why he feels such a connection with him. The actual boss just walked onto the board, and he is smiling. The pitch comes fast. Become friends. Chichiol will sharpen Doyle's abilities and back him with Iljung's whole power, and he name-drops the boss of Japan's Okita Yakuza group to show the scale he plays at. His philosophy fits in 2 lines. Money justifies violence, and violence makes money. Our guy's reply is not a counteroffer. He just mentions flatly that the Yakuza boss Chichiol is name-dropping is dead, and for the first time all chapter, Pichichol's smile stops. Cut to a private dinner across the city where the money people are rattled. A congressman gets a glass poured while everyone tiptoes around the same question: what kind of dirty thing has gotten itself involved in all this? The answer arrives as a threat. Stay put and do nothing, because the problem is just a high school student, but he is rumored to have national security behind him, and he supposedly stole internal information from the top 0.1% of business clubs. The adults are scared of a teenager, and they should be. Back in the room, Jacole asks one more time if Doyle really does not want to be friends. Our guy asks why he keeps repeating himself and tells him he is annoying. Second man tonight to earn that exact review. And Jacole's answer is quiet and simple. He is not an ordinary high school student either. 2 monsters, 1 room, and neither of them is done. So before these two actually throw hands, the story sits you down and shows you exactly what kind of thing Pai Jichul is. It starts with a little kid happily quoting his favorite serial killer. The quote goes like this: "Murderers are not that bad. Everyone dies one day. He only gave them a new time of death. That is Albert Bundy, a world-famous killer with about 30 victims. Child Jichul thought that was beautiful." And then the screaming starts, because little PG Chol tried to kill his own younger brother, Jiho. When the adults ask him why, his answer is calm. He told Jiho to stop crying. He warned him more than once. Jiho did not listen, so Jiho was wrong first. He gets processed under the juvenile law, and the story frames it the same way his hero's story ended. Like Albert Bundy, he had to pay the price for what he did. Except then the kid watches the news and learns the real rule of the world. An attack leader from Japan's Okita group walks free on 7 suspected murders. A congressman's son kills an 11-year-old girl drunk driving, and suddenly the story becomes that he was not the actual driver. Not everyone pays. That is the day Pai Ji-shol finds his goal in life. Money, fame, and power, enough of all three to become a special being who decides other people's time of death. And the real reason he tried to kill his brother finally comes out. Jiho was too similar to him, and one of them was enough for this world. He wanted to become God. He still does. Back in the present, God is confused. Ji-shol cannot process how Doyle moved ahead of his own movements and asks if he hit his head. Bro's explanation is that he is just faster. Also, he was only playing around a little. And instead of getting angry, Chikeo lights up. He has surpassed so many people he stopped counting, but this is a first, and he genuinely asks whether our guy is really an ordinary person. Bro tells him that if he is only going to say bad stuff, he should not talk. Our guy treats the psychopath prodigy exactly like every other annoyance in his life, which might be the most disrespectful thing anyone has ever done to Pai Ji-shol. Then it gets worse for him. The MC watches one of Ji-chil's moves a single time and copies it right back at him, and the two of them trade jabs about who exactly is the uncreative bastard here. Ji-ko grins and admits it out loud. Our guy is interesting. Then he shows why he earned the hype, because he dodges. Clean. And here comes his actual gimmick, the thing that made him the monster of this whole region. The longer a fight goes, the stronger Pai Ji-shol gets. Power, determination, speed, all of it climbs in real time, and speed most of all, because that part is pure natural talent. So this fight is a race. Ji-shol is amazed he even found someone like this in a random Korean high school, and at the same time he clocks that the punk across from him just got faster again too. But he thinks he sees the flaw. Bro's attacks are fast, but the patterns behind them look shallow to him. Fast hands, simple playbook. That is his read. So he loads the trap. 3 consecutive lefts as bait, and the real finisher hidden in the right hand behind them. Our boy's entire review of the trap is one word: shallow. He catches the hidden right like it came with a label on it. Ji-shol keeps monologuing anyway. Nothing can stop him. He is destined to rise above everyone. That is his fate. Let us see how far our guy can go. Bro tells him his yapping is genuinely embarrassing to listen to. And then our guy delivers the coldest scouting report in the series. Ji-shol is not ordinary, sure, but his level is for domestic use only. Think about what is saying that. This is the son of the world's top killer organization, a kid raised on an international standard of violence no Korean schoolyard has ever graded against, and he is still out here broke, invoicing bullies at 50,000 a head. Our guy tells him to follow along, because this is his level. Then something happens that the page itself barely catches. Ji-shol cannot see out of his left eye. He never saw the hit. He never even felt Bro move. The adaptive genius who gets faster every second just lost half his vision to a punch that, as far as his senses are concerned, never happened. And the MC closes the argument. The kid who decided he was a god who sets other people's time of death gets told, flatly, that he is nothing and should shut his mouth. Every humiliation Ji-shol ever handed out just came back in a single sentence. Cut to 2 men arriving at Boss Park's workplace, and these are not students. This is Nampo Urim, an actual adult street gang, and they are here because that brat, Pai Ji-shol, already took action against Boss Park. Except nobody has been able to reach Ji-chol since this morning. The number 2, Jo Jung-seok, warns his leader how dirty things get around that kid. Whether people side with Seok-dong or run to the National Union while Ji-chol is in Seoul, he takes care of everyone. And then the sentence dies in his throat because they find him. Pai Ji-shol! The most feared prodigy in southern Seoul, the boy who gets stronger the longer a fight lasts, dumped for the adults to find like a finished delivery. Then the leader of Nampo Urim, Ju Ha-young, spots something else there and asks what that is, and whatever it is, somebody left it for them to find. So, Nampo Urim walks the scene, and it reads like a bomb went off. Boss Park's men wrecked, courtesy of those brutal Iljung guys, and in the middle of it all, Pai Ji-shol himself, damaged so badly the gangsters guess it is permanent. One of them asks the leader the only question that matters. Who is the kid who turned Pai Ji-shol into this? Ju Ha-young just tells him there is no need to rush, which, coming from the leader of an adult gang looking down at that body, is a genuinely chilling amount of calm. Meanwhile, across the city, a dirty cop unlocks his phone and finds an app he never installed, one that greets him as a corrupt police officer and informs him his phone has been hacked. The message lays it all out. Every bribe he ever took, organized into a list with CCTV footage and photos from the scenes already attached to a mail. And one demand: properly investigate the crimes Iljung High has committed over the years, including the stabbing of a Sumoon High faculty member. It ends by clarifying that this is a threat. The officer's whole soul leaves his body wondering who this person could possibly be. Sir, you would not believe us if we told you. Back at the scene, Ju Ha-young gives his verdict. This kid is the real deal, and if he keeps going round and round like this, sooner or later the two of them will meet. Hard cut to Sumoon territory, where the vibe could not be more different because somebody is announcing that the king is leaving. Yes, bro now gets royal announcements when he exits a restaurant. The restaurant lady elbows through the crowd, insisting she should see him off on her husband's day, tells the loners to clear out, and someone straight up declares it an honor to serve the king of the south. And the neighborhood has a new law, spreading word for word. Whoever does bad will be hunted down by Kim Doyle. 50,000, one ahead, satisfaction guaranteed. Meanwhile, Sumoon's former bullies are going through it because their entire industry collapsed. One whines that school life sucks now that he is the one making the store runs. Another realizes there is just no place for them in Sumoon anymore. One got demoted to handing out flyers and gets roasted for it, because who even hands out flyers these days? People just post online. Nobody looks at their socials either. My role was taken from me, says one. You too, says another. Us too. It is a support group for laid-off bullies. And then the actual economy of New Sumoon shows up. Somebody left bro's performance bonus in his locker, and he confirms he already saw it. Business is booming. Dongku can barely process any of it. He tells Doyle that since he transferred here, every single day has genuinely been happy, and the MC tells him to keep the embarrassing talk to himself. Then he says the part nobody sane would believe. Bro really did destroy PG Cole and Il-jung, and there's a message thread to prove it. PG Cole defeated, prepare the performance bonus by Monday. Sit with that invoice for a second. The heir to the deadliest organization mankind has produced just toppled the scariest prodigy in Southern Seoul, and his first move afterward was setting a payment deadline, Monday. The man has frozen accounts and standards. Someone asks if the proof picture is photoshopped, and gets told it would have been easier to photoshop it than to actually do it. Then Donggu squares his shoulders and makes his own announcement. For the next step, he refuses to be a nuisance. He wants to be fully prepared too. Meaning he wants to learn how to fight, and our guy just echoes the words back at him. The next step. Cut to Seokdong High, where the rumor has landed. PG Shoal taken care of. Half the room wants to celebrate, because if the psycho is really gone, it is their turn now. But one of Seokdong's ranked seniors, Wee Seok-hyun, is not buying it. Some kid going around joking about beating the 12 nations, the executive layer this entire pyramid answers to, is that even one person or two? And PG Shoal is not someone who loses easily. Then he turns to the quiet kid in the corner and asks if he agrees, Dong-yuk. And the jokes stop here, because Dong-yuk is not their classmate. He is their servant. He flinches when spoken to, gets barked at for asking questions, fetches the ball on command, and gets sent back to sit in his spot while they laugh. It gets uglier. They call him pitiful, mock him as a born loser, tell him the only people he can blame are the parents who birthed him, and then demand he agree with all of it out loud. And when he cannot answer, that becomes the new offense. Then somebody drops in next to them out of nowhere, and the whole group jumps out of their skin. A Sumoon uniform. The Seokdong guys are mid-threat display, demanding to know who he is, when one of the girls in the group completely short-circuits and starts loudly thirsting over how absurdly handsome this psycho is. They run the classic script. Has Sumoon gone crazy? Do you not see these uniforms? Do you know who we are? And bro answers with the single most disrespectful question available. He asks what that is. And then the shrieking starts, because our guy is holding a gun, an actual gun, in Korea, at a schoolyard shakedown. The tough guy voices evaporate on the spot. What follows is less a fight and more a scheduled beating. Seokdong's finest end up wheezing on the ground, begging, demanding to know who he is, and screaming at him to throw the gun away. His answer is a flat nope, followed by an invitation to come at him all at once, because one at a time is annoying. The survivors start guessing. An assassin sent by Il-jung, maybe. One of them cracks completely and screams the confession that actually matters, that Boo Seol-jun asked them to catch PG Cole. And Doyle, who has been beating them this whole time, asks who they even are. He never knew. He never cared. They demand to know why he is doing this then, and he tells them to look below. There on the floor sits the gun that had grown delinquents begging for their lives. It is fake. They got dismantled by a toy. And the board updates. Next step, Seokdong High. Donggu only just announced that plan, and Doyle is already here collecting. The last one, still conscious, asks the only question left, which is simply why. And the answer is one word. Pork. No elaboration, no context, just pork. The most dangerous teenager in Southern Seoul runs on pork and unpaid invoices, and Seokdong's turn has officially begun. So the paint is barely dry on Doyle's next step announcement when Sumoon gets a brand new problem. Park Jinju, Il-jung's number 3, a 20-year-old muscle fanatic who should have graduated years ago, has transferred into Sumoon just to follow bro around calling him Big Brother. Jinju explains himself with a full mountain sermon. A man's instinct is to long for the tallest peak. He thought Il-jung's boss was that peak, and then our guy folded his whole school. Bro listens to all of this and only wonders why the police never locked this guy up. So he asks his pet corrupt cop, the one whose phone he hacked. The cop reports that Park Jinju walked free with a warning. They shook him hard and no dust came out, because the man's only detectable crime is being obsessed with his own pecs. You can't charge a crime that doesn't exist. Which is how we got here. Jinju begged on his knees to serve Doyle as his big brother for the rest of his life, and the MC sighed and said, "Do whatever you want." Jinju received that the way other people receive wedding vows. Now the man is shirtless in the schoolyard, drenched, asking who wants to wipe his sweat. The girls scream pervert, and our guy stands there genuinely weighing whether killing everyone and leaving Korea would be the simpler life. Our guy treats that as a real line item. Cut to Donggu, mid-torture session. Doyle has him on 2 months of pure physical training, lower body only, not one technique taught. Right now, Donggu is deep in a lower body hold, screaming that bro looks like a liar who is not checking the timer. Our boy says 3 minutes left. Donggu asks if any of this will actually make him good at fighting. The MC tells him if he wants to crack, then crack. Then he drops the real agenda. The next step is the eradication of Seokdong High, and this time the performance bonus is 6 million won. Sit with that. This is the son of the world's deadliest killer organization, frozen out of daddy's money, and his rate card just jumped from 50,000 won a bully to 6 million for an entire school. Donggu, the paying customer, tries to haggle him down to 1 million, while desperately needing a toilet. Dongga asks if bro at least researched Seokdong before declaring war. Our guy's entire intelligence file is one sentence. Isn't it a rule that enemies who appear later are stronger? That's it. That's the research. Dongga asks what kind of rule that is at a volume that scares birds. Then, bro gets serious. Moving with a weak teammate means moving with an obstacle, so Donggu will prove the 2 months of training were real, and the proof he picks is a name. Park Kongwook. Donggu repeats it back like he misheard his own execution date. Here's the situation. The judo twins transferred out, which makes Park Kangwook the strongest student left at Sumun. The plan, today, Donggu provokes Kangwook, beats him, and becomes boss of Sumun. Bro is not taking the seat himself because, his words, he is world class. A school title is beneath him. And there's a deadline attached. If Donggu takes the boss seat, Doyle says they can evaporate Seokdong within 1 week. The 6 million won job is officially waiting on a guy who has never won a fight in his life. Except Donggu never actually said yes. Doesn't matter. The rumor that Ma Donggu challenged Park Kangwook to a match is already ripping through the school. Everyone is stampeding to the auditorium. Someone is literally yelling popcorn. Donggu screams that these sons of bitches are messing with him again. Our boy announced first and asked never. Meanwhile, over at Seokdong, the top guys are passing around the same rumor and refusing to believe a word of it. Some Sumun kid beat PG Cole. Every camera near the scene got wiped clean. Their read is that PG Cole was the real deal. No Sumun, nobody touched him. The National Federation probably forced him into retirement. Then the room turns ugly. Jang Chun-sik, Seokdong's number 2, calls out Park Sang-sik as a rat who has been doing business by selling the 12 Nations name, and nobody at that table moves to save him. Chun-sik beats Sang-sik into the floor, asking him between hits if selling other people's names was really worth living for. No jokes here. This is the school our guy just put a 6 million won price on. Their number 2 hospitalizes his own people over a borrowed name. Back at Sumun, the auditorium is packed wall to wall. Half the school skipped class to watch their favorite punching bag, Ma Donggu, fight the strongest guy in the building, off a challenge he never even made. And then Park Kangwook walks in, already fed up, telling the crowd these sons of bitches are acting up. Donggu has 2 months of leg day in his body, a fake rumor on his name, and 3 minutes he doesn't know matter yet. The bell is basically rung. So the match is on, and it is going exactly how everyone predicted. Park Kangwook is teeing off on Donggu. The crowd is watching Donggu eat shots that should end the night, and the part nobody can process is that Donggu keeps getting back up. Kangwook tells him to just stay down. Donggu throws one back and it's slow, so slow, Kangwook laughs at it and counters. Every exchange goes one way. And Kangwook is getting angrier with each round of it, because a guy this outclassed should not keep standing up. Quick flashback. A friend asks Donggu if he's seriously learning to fight from Doyle. Donggu laughs it off and says he's trying, because he can't depend on bro forever. The friend asks the obvious question, isn't it fine to just depend on him? And Donggu gives the answer that's been sitting in him for years. They always had their own roles. Doyle was born as Doyle, and people like Donggu were born as themselves. Back in the auditorium, the crowd is asking if that's really Ma Donggu. The kid can barely control his own body, and he still drags himself upright and stares Kangwook dead in the eyes. And Kangwook flinches, because that stare is the same one from back then. Kangwook talks himself back into it. Without the transfer student, this guy is nothing. He's just acting brave. The guy in front of me is not strong. Fine. No more knockdowns. This time, Kangwook is going to put him out cold so there's no getting up. And he lands it. Clean! Donggu folds, and his friends scream his name from the stands. Kangwook stands over him yelling that people like Donggu shouldn't try to climb the ladder, that he doesn't know his place, that he is damn annoying. Listen to that last one. The strongest guy in school is starting to sound frustrated at a kid he has knocked down all night. Dong gets up anyway and screams that all of them become at him. And inside, it finally clicks. Doyle is Doyle. We are us. He can't become like our guy, and he doesn't care anymore. That was never the assignment. Kang-wook is fully rattled now, asking if this guy is an actual zombie, screaming die while he swings. Donggu just keeps walking forward, muttering that nothing is over yet. Then Donggu smiles mid-beating, and Kang-wook's brain short-circuits. He knows he hit him clean. So why is he smiling? Cut back to training. Donggu asks how he can possibly beat Park Kang-wook, and Doyle corrects the question, not how. You definitely will beat him. Here's the plan bro built. At street level, a fight comes down to weight, conditioning, and willpower. Donggu and Kang-wook are the same weight. Donggu spent 2 brutal months building the other 2 things, and Kang-wook prepared nothing. So if Donggu can survive exactly 3 minutes, Kang-wook won't even be able to answer his fists. Because Kang-wook fights like a sprinter. The provocations bait him into showing off that speed. He burns his whole tank swinging at a target that refuses to stay down, and eventually just standing and breathing starts to hurt. Our guy's phrase for the end state is that Kang-wook literally becomes a human sandbag. And at that exact moment, everything Donggu built, every lower body hold, every scream at the timer, all of it goes into destroying Park Kang-wook. That was the real strategy the whole time. Willpower backed by physical strength. And our boy's final instruction was simple. When you want to give up, win or lose, scream it out. Just one more time. Donggu makes peace with it right there in the open. He is fine never becoming like Doyle. It is enough for him to be himself. Then he takes one step, and the sandbag swings back. 2 months of hell land flush, and Park Kang-wook goes down. The whole school just watched its favorite punching bag knock out the strongest guy in the building and become boss of Simoon, which means the invoice is live. The broke heir of the world's deadliest organization has his figurehead, and Seokdong High, 6 million won on the line, is next. So Dong has been boss of Simoon for about a day when he catches Doyle mid-phone call, wearing wireless earphones, thanking the captain of Blackhead's Russian branch for a fresh intel delivery. Quick reminder of what we're dealing with. Dad runs the deadliest killer organization on the planet. The son is broke, so the family's global spy network now hunts high school bullies. Dong fires off questions like a toddler in a car seat. Where did you get earphones? Who are you talking to? Wait, where are we even going? Bro just asks which question he should start with. He answers the last one. He promised Seokdong would evaporate within a week, and he keeps his promises. And mid-sentence, they walk straight in on Seokdong, guy shaking someone down, telling the kid to stick his tongue out further. The bully gets exactly half of a "who are you" out of his mouth before Doyle is on him. This is Jeon Jong-soo, one of Seokdong's top 5, and he cannot read a single movement. He's screaming about the weird fighting style while getting dismantled by it. Our guy asks him one question. Does he want to die or live? Jong-soo chooses live, so bro lists his demands. First, the new gambling site, Seokdong, runs to bleed young people dry. Every piece of evidence, every person involved, sent to the app the MC just installed on his phone. Jong-soo's soul leaves his body, because how does this guy even know about the site? Second, go tell boss Wang Kwakui to come to Simoon before the deadline, kneel down and surrender to Simoon's boss. Do that, and there will be no blood. And the bystanders connect the dots exactly the way our boy designed. The glasses kid must be Simoon's new boss, and if this monster is only the subordinate, how strong is the boss himself? Donggu's reputation is out here writing checks his body has never even seen. Jong-soo asks if our guy is insane. Does he have any idea what kind of man Wang Kwakui is? Couldn't they just quietly take a hit on the head like normal people? And Donggu is asking the same thing, except crying. Why would you say that? Bro explains his reasoning like it's the weather. There is going to be a gang fight. He beats one guy, another guy appears, it's annoying, so it's cleaner to destroy Seokdong in one go. Donggu screams that gang fights do not exist in this day and age, and that Seokdong has enough people to bury them all. Our guy tells him that's not his problem. His job is bringing Wang Kwakui, and Jong-soo, beaten half to death on the floor, actually starts laughing, because in his whole career, this is the first person who ever asked to meet the boss. People usually beg for the opposite. Cut to Gimshan, hours south of Seoul. Grown men are scrambling through the dark, babbling that the thing hunting them can't be human, that the rumors were real, that it's a ghost. Nobody escapes it. The speed is unbelievable, and it runs down every last one of them. Back in Seoul, Jong-soo pulls himself together and admits the boss really is away on a business trip, and the meeting can maybe happen when he returns. And you can decide for yourself whether that business trip and the ghost tearing through Gimcheon are 2 different stories. Then every Seokdong phone in the room lights up at once, and the order on the screens is simple. Report immediately. Boss Wang Kwakui, the man they just called unreachable, already knows something happened. And somewhere inside that machine, a meeting gets called, and one name floats to the top. Pi Ji-cho. The torture-happy legend bro already folded into retirement. Whatever Seokdong's boss wants with a broken man, that's where this is headed next. Over at Seokdong, the number 2 Jung Chun-sik is holding a flyer. An actual paper flyer claiming Thunderfist Kim Doyle rules over Southern Seoul. Yes, the Loner Squad's marketing has reached enemy headquarters. The fan club moves faster than the intel network. And Jong-soo is giving his seniors the report of all time. Wee Seo-kyun's crew hospitalized 2 months ago, a lynching at the billiard room, and a demand that Seo-dong's boss come kneel at Sumoon. Which Jong-soo answered, in his own retelling, by scolding the messenger and sending him home. This is the same guy who was begging for his life on the floor yesterday. The older heads wave it all off. This Sumoon guy is the same breed as the rat they just crushed. Another, nobody's selling the 12 Nations name for clout, and no one sane will believe the lie that he beat Pai Ji-chol. Mosquito-like bastards get ignored, not fought. Cut back to Sumoon, where class is in session. Today's lesson, Chapter 3, The Basics of Blackhead's Close Combat Techniques. The world's deadliest organization has a syllabus, and its broke heir is teaching it in a high school to pay his bills. Donggu interrupts the lesson with the only question that matters. Does Doyle really think Wang Kwakli will come to Sumoon? And if he actually shows up, then what? Bro's whole contingency plan is one sentence. He'll just beat him somehow. So Donggu explains who they've summoned. Wang Kwakli is a human being far beyond the realm of humans. There's a middle school rumor that he beat a bear to death. And before you laugh, a black bear really did escape Chunglim Zoo 3 years ago, caused chaos, and was found dead. The one who killed it was Wang Kwakli. That's the bear story. Our boy's full reaction to the bear story is, so what about it? There's a mountain of stuff to do and no turning back. Meanwhile, Donggu is coping by carefully watching a fight video and practicing along. And then our guy says it with total certainty. Wang Kwakli is definitely coming to Sumoon. He's not hoping, he's scheduling. Back at Seok-dong, Jong-soo quietly tells his senior the thing he can't shake. That Doyle guy moves like Ha Chae-ho, the National Federation monster, and the same eerie feeling hangs off Ma Dong-gu, the boss he serves. Maybe step on them now before they get any bigger. He gets laughed out of the room. If that kid were really anything like Ha Chae-ho, Jong-soo would have died a long time ago. And Jong-soo, sweating through his shirt, screams that this is exactly his point. He almost did. Night, rain, a bar in Cheonggil High territory. Jung Chon-sik is flexing on the pretty girl running the place, name-dropping Jung Hyun-woo of Cheonggil and offering to arrange her an easy school life. She is thrilled in the way service workers are thrilled. And in the corner, Jong-soo is living his personal nightmare. Disobey the MC and die. Snitch to Seok-dong and explain how management got robbed by Sumoon on his watch. Every road ends in a mess, and his own summary of the situation is just, my damn difficult social life. Right on cue, the mess arrives. A runner bursts in, screaming, there's a huge problem. The workshop in Yunpyeong district, one of Seok-dong's money operations, has been hacked. The ransom note on the screen is a masterpiece. We gotcha. Want the password? Come see Sumoon High's boss Ma Dong tomorrow, 8 p.m. And while they're reading it, word lands that the Seo-daemun workshop got robbed too. Our guy is holding Seok-dong's entire cash machine hostage, and he's signing Dong's name to every note. Seok-dong's counter-hacking response is elite. What the fuck is ransomware? And if you know the password, can't you just solve it? These are the criminal masterminds the MC is farming for 6 million won. Then the room stops breathing because the boss is back early. Wang Kwakli walks in on his own men, unannounced, and the bear killer asks exactly one question. Where is Sumoon High located? First, though, he pays a visit. Pai Ji-chol, the legend bro destroyed, wrecked in recovery. Kwakui tells him plainly that he came to talk about money, but this is disappointing and there's nothing to discuss with a cripple. Take good care of yourself. And Pai Ji-chol, the man who used to enjoy other people's pain, gives him the only warning he has left. It only takes a moment to end up like this. Even you can't do anything about it. The devil is at Sumoon High School. Kwakui's answer is one order. Gather every subordinate organization at Sumoon High School. One more thing before the storm. Somewhere in the city, a man who's been tailed since morning finally turns to face his shadow, and the shadow greets him like an old comrade. It's been a while, Captain. No name, no face. File that away. Because tomorrow, Seok-dong, all of it is going to Sumoon. The entire school our boy invoice is about to deliver itself to his front gate. So while Seok-dong is loading an entire pyramid onto buses, where is Doyle? Busan? Half the country away from the war he personally scheduled. Because his father summoned him, and the head of Blackhead likes ports, the nodes of land and water transport. Isn't it romantic, son? Bro opens by complaining that his mother is in Seoul and Dad still dragged him all the way down here. Dad's counter is that he missed his son, whom he adores, and it's been a whole year now. Then the man who runs the world's deadliest killer organization asks the only question he came to ask. When is our guy coming back? Dad's negotiation strategy is elite. He offers his son a mask pack, insists the local skincare products are insane, and waits. Bro says he's never coming back. And when the frozen bank account comes up, the boss of everything swears he wasn't behind it. That was the finance team's decision. Sure it was. Quick reminder of what that freeze actually means. It is the entire reason the heir of the world's top killer organization is out here billing high school bullies 50,000 one a head. Dad cut the card, so Southern Soul pays the difference. The reunion lasts about 90 seconds. The MC says, "Is that all?" He has an appointment and walks. Dad yells after him to at least join him for a meal, then wonders out loud where the kid got that impatient attitude from. "Sir, there is a mirror on that ship." Then Dad drops the doting act for one order. He tells his man Goon to take care of Doyle because his son drops a nuclear bomb everywhere he goes, and whatever he caused in Japan still gives the old man a headache. Come back with him in tow. It's an order. See you at Blackhead. Which is why Bro now has a professional killer tailing him through the streets like a lost intern. Our boy asks Gu-Yoon if he wants to die. Gu-Yoon does not leave. And in the middle of all that, our guy fires off the group text of the year. Seok-dong is going to come. Get everyone ready by 8. Back at Samoon, Dong-gu reads that text and short circuits. Kim Doyle, that crazy bastard, started a school war and then skipped school. Dong-gu blows up his phone begging him to call the plan off, and Bro texts back, No, I'm coming. I'm O2. The war starts at 8 and the general is O2. Meanwhile, the loner squad is asking the real question, which is why they are in the middle of this at all. The answer is that Park Kang-wook, the forever anguished, said jump, and Kang-wook himself remembers exactly how he got drafted. Our boy looked him dead in the eyes and asked, "Can you help?" Whether that was a request or blackmail, Kang-wook genuinely cannot tell. The squad's official battle strategy is beautiful. Watch for now, and dip if it seems like this ain't it. One of them votes to dip right now. Honest work. Park Jinju, on the other hand, is having the best day of his life. The fight against Seok-dong he has been dreaming of since his military days. His heart is racing, and the younger kids are openly jealous of his body. 20 years old, still in high school, thriving. And Seo Mina has founded the Sumoon High cheerleading team. Her friend gently points out that this is a gang fight, and gang fights do not usually need cheerleading. Mina's position is that a pretty girl cheering is rightfully needed no matter the situation. Also, she's getting mad that she can't spot our boy anywhere. 8 o'clock comes. 8 o'clock goes. No Seok-dong, and the whole yard flips instantly. I knew it. Why would Seok-dong come for our shitty school? We almost ran away and became unloyal bastards. Mina brought fried chicken to watch the fight. The vibe is a picnic. It gets worse. Kids start posing for group photos to remember the night, everybody announcing they were never actually scared. Seok-dong et la Mao. They're nothing. Then a voice nobody recognizes cuts in. Oi, sick friend, pass me a smoke. And the street fills. The leader of Kangsu High. The leader of Mooncheon High. Seok-dong's own number 3. Every affiliated crew in the pyramid, delivered to Sumoon's front gate exactly the way Wang Kwakuri ordered. Then Seok-dong's number 2, Jung Chun-sik, strolls in with one question for the entire school. Who is the devil of Sumoon? And on his way through, Chun-sik spots a familiar face in the crowd and grins. We meet again, buddy. Whoever that buddy is does not look thrilled about being remembered. Chun-sik lays out the house rule, calm as a bank teller. Even if we let people off once, we never let them off twice. Sumoon sent a kneeling demand once and robbed 2 workshops after. That is twice. And that is the whole conversation. The wave breaks. Seok-dong's crowd slams into the schoolyard, and every fist in it starts funneling toward exactly one person, the guy whose name the MC signed on both ransom notes. Ma Dong-gu, boss of Sumoon, a title with a population of 1 lie. So Dong-gu is about to fight an entire pyramid for a throne he never accepted, armed with 2 months of leg day and a boss who is O. How about that? So the wave lands, and every fist in it has the same forwarding address. Dong-gu is sprinting through his own schoolyard, screaming the only fair question left. Why do you only keep coming after me? Nobody answers. They just keep coming. The Seok-dong guys actually pull out a photo to check. Yep, that's the boss of Sumoon High. Looks just like the picture. But up close, their read changes fast. This guy is no big shot. He's just another parasite riding someone else's fame. Which raises a fun question, because that parasite supposedly raided 2 of their workshops. Meanwhile, one of them has Dong-gu in a hold and is announcing his moves like a one-piece character, full sword technique names, 3-sword style, the works. Dong-gu is begging the man to let go for 1 second, just 1 second. The request is denied. And off to the side, Jung Chun-sik is not laughing. Something is off to him. Nobody's daring to provoke Seok-dong High makes no sense, and his gut keeps repeating the same sentence. The devil definitely lives here. Now, Dong-gu did not walk in here empty-handed. He has a curriculum. Blackhead Close Combat 101, Step 1, Emotional Regulation. No matter the situation, stay calm. Dong-gu reviews this lesson while an entire school tries to beat him to death, and his honest feedback is, stay calm, screw that, how? Because the mob has decided he's the boss of Sumoon, and the boss must be destroyed. Dong-gu keeps screaming that he is not their boss, which is technically true, and has never once helped anyone in the history of mobs. Step 2, Enhancing and Maintaining Stamina. Always fight using the least stamina possible, and for one shining moment, Donggu believes, because stamina is the one thing 2 months of leg day actually gave him. He is fully trained for this exact subject. Then the math arrives. It's one versus many, so their combined stamina is more than his to begin with. The curriculum did not mention that part. Donggu gets swarmed again while the crowd helpfully screams, "Die, you bastard." And right as Donggu is yelling that they are literally swarming him and asking how stamina helps with that, a gun goes off. Rubber rounds. A quick flash shows how it got here. Somebody left a Glock loaded with special rubber bullets in a friendly pair of hands and quoted its price at 2 million won. 2 million won. That price tag really narrows down the suspect list. The shooter is Changsu, one of Donggu's own guys, checking on his comrade like an action hero. The mob's response is to ask who the hell this pig is and then bury him. Changsu goes down screaming that it hurts, and something in Donggu snaps. Donggu screams at them to stop ganging up on people, you cowards. They point out the obvious, cowards, says the side that brought a gun, and Donggu delivers the legal defense of the century. Yeah, guns are cowardly too, so what? He wasn't the one who used it. Step 3. Stick to the basics. And the basics show up. The 1-2 combo Donggu has drilled all this time connects clean on a real person in a real fight for the first time in his life. It works. He tells Changsu to hold on, tells the rest of them they're dead now, and the mob finally learns his name. That Ma Donggu bastard. Step 4. Using spite and raw willpower. That one Donggu passes with honors. He's swinging on pure grudge now, and the guys in front of him are genuinely rattled, yelling that the enemy is 10 times their number and voting to run. His own side has to scream at him. "What are you doing, you lunatic? Run already." And Donggu, mid-berserker rampage, goes, "Oh, okay," and runs. Donggu really has an off switch labeled peer pressure. Elsewhere in the yard, Park Jinju is having his dream evening. 30 people down, solo. Even the Seok Dong side has to nod. That tracks for old Iljung's number 3. Their verdict on everyone else in a Sumoon uniform is one word: useless. So Chunsi calls the play. Push them to the center and finish them, the famous Seok Dong drive hunting tactic, the whole yard squeezed like a net. And while it closes, Chunsi keeps chewing the same bone. How did these ragtags raid our workshops? No, worse, how did they get our boss to personally make a move? Over at the picnic section, the fried chicken era is ending. Mina's friends are saying this doesn't look like the right time to eat, maybe someone should call the police. Then Mina freezes, because her phone is gone, and a voice behind the girls goes, "What you doing here, cuties?" Mina's plan is to walk back into the war zone for her phone. Her friends ask if she's insane, and the volunteer who steps up is Park Kangwook, the self-titled Forever Anguished, whose whole pitch is that he promised to help, and he's gotten used to pain anyway. Someone asks what kind of dumb logic that is. No one has an answer. Next thing we see, Mina is tied up, gagged, and slung over a shoulder like luggage, internally declaring this the worst humiliation of her life, carried off by an ugly dude, and swearing bloody revenge. The rescue is going great, thanks for asking. And then the yard goes quiet around one body. Donggu, face in the dirt, done, running the course review in his head. Blackhead Close Combat 101, or whatever that was. That shit's useless. His last thought has a name attached. Kim Doyle. You fucking fraud. The teacher is still O2, the student is out of steps, and Seok-dong is not done collecting. And that is everything that is out so far. Donggu is face down in the dirt. Our guy's whole reputation just took the worst hit it has ever taken, and Seok-dong is still standing there collecting. I need to see how bro answers this one. Tell me in the comments what you think he does next, and I will keep you updated the second there is more of this